With opening remarks here from Dynamo head coach Ben Olsen.
Just a great night for the organization to move past and move on in the playoffs and continue this ride that has been really enjoyable for the players, myself, the staff, and I think our fans. I think our fans have really enjoyed the year, and nobody really wanted this to end. So now we have another opportunity to keep the train rolling, and we can keep it rolling here at Shell Energy, which is important. We worked very hard throughout the last month or two to keep climbing up the table to be in this situation, to have a home game if we do advance. And fortunately, KC did their work to knock out a higher seed, and now we play them here. But we can talk about them in the future. But we know we have a great team coming in here that is as in good form as we are, and probably the best team that the league has seen in the league for the last several months. So be a great test for us, and just looking forward to that matchup. The game itself and we played really well, and we dominated in a lot of areas. We had plenty of looks, and the final ball and the final action just let us down a bunch of times, and where we could have got the second or the third. And they are a very resilient team. Pablo Mastroianni is one of my favorite human beings. I think he's a fantastic coach, and he always gets the best out of his players. So we knew it was going to be very difficult, and to keep them off the board is difficult as well. So if you can't get that second, and then in PKs, they showed some real guts, some real moxie to get through it.
Start with questions with Jorge, then we'll go to the front.
Coach, first off, congratulations. Just the other day, you made a year of being here as the Dynamo head coach. Did you envision this?
It's only been a year. I envisioned getting into the postseason. It's more times than not I was able to do that in Washington D.C. and those are kind of the expectations that I had coming into this. In some ways, we're a little ahead of schedule in that development process of building this team, but that's great. We can worry about sustaining it and how we kind of push this further over the next year or two, and see if the trick is always to sustain this type of postseason play and winning series. But for now, we just want to keep it rolling. I think we'd be, holding a trophy this year and advancing as the 4th seed in the first round of I don't know, maybe, but it would have been a long shot.
We'll go here to Danielle. Richard up next.
Ben, you said earlier this week this team has been really good with their backs up against the wall. Why do you think that is? Why are you guys capable of doing this over and over again?
We revamped the team, but we revamped it with winners and guys that have been around in these types of games, been in championships, have won championships. I talked about it all year. Even the guys that are overseas, they're coming from teams that they win. And that's the culture they come from. So I think that really helps. And even guys coming off the bench have been in these moments. So that and the way this team has gelled together organically, not necessarily by my doing, but it's a group that somehow really enjoys playing for each other and looks after each other, and some guys stepping up and playing at a good level. Tonight was about everybody had to play in the way they were capable of, and everybody showed up for us.
Congratulations, coach, and as teacher for the win. And what do you think is the key of this great season that the Dynamo are having?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, we mentioned it. A little bit of this I don't want to say luck, but when you get a group that gels in that way and the culture on and off the field, it's been, that doesn't always happen. But we also have good players. We've got a really nice roster that Pat and Asher put together in the offseason and gave me a lot to work with.
Coach, going into penalty kicks, and that's not a swipe on anybody, but how hard is that to go? I don't know any league in the world that just goes straight to penalties. How hard is it for you guys? I know it was hard for the other team, and just getting used to doing that, not going into extra time, just going straight to penalties.
I don't think it's any harder than going to penalties at the end of an extra time. I think it's just these are the rules, and they know them in advance. They can process that. They understand that the end of the game happens, and it's time to hit some PKs. Yeah, I would say losing a PK there, and I'm glad Amin stepped up, but there's a certain resiliency that they had to. I think the home field helped a little bit with that, but yeah. What's your other question?
My other question is going into that second half, and how important is it? You talk about getting that second goal.
Yeah, we played well enough to get the second goal. They're going to keep throwing numbers, and they're very aggressive in transition moments, and they keep bringing on, dangerous dynamic attackers. And when they throw that many numbers forward, you can see how many breaks and opportunities we have where it's 3v2s or getting down towards the end line, deep in the box, and having serviced. We just didn't see the game out. And when you don't see the game out with the second goal against a team like Salt Lake, they're eventually gonna get one. And but again, that can break your spirit a little bit. And proud of the guys and for the resiliency and seeing the game through. Still knocking on the door, but not giving up the second after we went 1-1, and then seeing the penalty kicks through.
Dave.
Hi, Ben. 1-0 at the half, all 3 games, and they scored on y'all. After today, they scored their first goal, there was a small player huddle. Was that unexpected, or did you plan it, or how was that?
I don't plan player meetings because I'm not a player. They do that on their own, and again, that I think that shows you that some of the maturity that we have on the field. And I think that was Eric that grabbed the group together. So, yeah, it's good. Again, they're mature. They've been around the block, a lot of these guys. I know it's a new team, and it's still a little bit of a blank canvas of what we're doing here. But these guys have been around. There's been a lot of guys in playoff games and moments where they've given up goals in big matches. So I thought they steadied the rest of the game. Again, knocking on the door, had a lot of very good looks, and didn't give up that many clear chances on the other end.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just what's going through your head when that whistle blows to signify 90's up and you're going to penalties a second straight time, just with how the second match ended?
Oh, you're just prepping. You're just prepping for making sure we understand their shooters and where they're going. And we have Tim Hanley does a great job. Speaking of winners, Tim Hanley's our goalkeeper coach, and he's been around a long time. He's been through these, and he and Steve and Andrew do a lot of work on their shooters and where they're going, and as to Salt Lake. So there's a lot that goes into this throughout the week, where both teams are really prepped for PKs and where they think the shooters are going to go. So I give them a lot of credit, but I was just about let's take care of the PKs and make sure they have the right mentality in the huddle. Trust Steve, trust that he's going to make a save or two, and he did that.
Chris, go ahead.
Congratulations, Mr. Ben.
How you doing, man?
Great, man. You through the semifinals. Great game today. Great game. But your team was a little bit more conservative today from where they played. Like, was that the plan before the game to be conservative and go on a counter when they have the opportunity to maybe grab 1 or 2 goals and close shot?
I thought we played really well. I really enjoyed the way we played today. 24 touches in opposing box, 64 final third entries. I mean, I know they're all just numbers, but 12 shots inside the box. I thought we got there in different ways. We got there in transition, but we also got there through builds. Yeah, so I didn't necessarily think we just struck on the counter, maybe a little bit in the second half. And as I said before, we have to be more lethal in those transitions. When we're 3v2, it's, we're just a hair off in that. And that happens at times. So, yeah, to answer your question?
Yeah, but also, just observation, I noticed a lot of the players, when you attack it, the finals, the players fail to strike the ball at the final time. I want to pass it. Is that part of the team strategy to pass it instead of shoot it?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'd like them to shoot too. Well, we took 16 shots and 12 were inside the box, so we were still shooting. I know what you're talking. At the top of the box, a couple times we're looking for the extra pass, and again, sometimes the extra pass works, and sometimes it allows an easier shot with a higher percentage. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you need to smack the ball and open them up so that maybe the pass is a little easier. These guys get it, but it was just a little off in the final third, that last pass. So we'll get back. We'll work on some breaks. Kansas City is going to be a whole different type of animal, and we have to take a look at them and see what that looks like and start to prepare. But it's nice to get a couple days off, and we have the 2-week break. So we will enjoy this for now and get back to work in a few days.
My final question. Now you're in the semifinals. Should we dream and expect the MLS Cup
Why
to be?
not? Why not? You're allowed to dream.
I trust you, man.
Yeah, man. What else?
We'll go here to Al in second row.
Hey, Coach. Achache, leader in touches and pass attempts, entering the game. He dishes out the assist to Corey that allowed the game to, go to PKs. It's been like a focal point this year. Just your thoughts on, his performance today.
He was incredible again today, and I'm not surprised. Right? It's a big game, and he's a big time player, and he plays well in big games. And again, his passing was. It's a lot of fun to watch. The way he breaks lines, the quality, the way he secures the ball and allows us to build and allows teams to now shrink in on him. So now Nelson and Coco, Amin and Griffin coming up are now more available because of the quality that he has. And they have to respect his passing. And he's just been he's been great all year long. And the assist it's not an easy assist. He's a very athletic guy to pull that off and knock that back. It was a pretty impressive play. I think that's 18 now assists. So he's been great.
Hey, Coach. I'm up here.
Hi.
Hi.
I thought you were over there.
Question. So it was a lot of excessive calls from the refs today.
Yeah.
Would you consider RSL dominating per se because of those calls? Or not dominating, but,
Oh, I was getting pushed. You can get pushed back on that dominating
I was,
word.
but they were a little aggressive out there. But do you think that they were feeding off of those excessive calls?
I think the physicality was always going to be a part of their game plan against us. It would be my game plan against us. And again, I can't say this, I have so much respect for Pablo Mascherano and what he does there and how he prepares his team and what his team gives for him. And again, physicality is always going to be a part of his team, and they worked extremely hard against us, and they make it tough, and they're right on that edge. And depending on which ref you get, that edge could spill over or it could be, today I thought Penzo did a pretty good job. I thought he was let the game play. It was a really physical game. I think it was so physical. If he was tight on the whistle, the game would have been so choppy. It wouldn't have been an enjoyable game. So it's a tough job, especially when the playoffs are here and physicality and you're playing a team like Salt Lake where that's going to be part part of the game plan. Yeah, yeah, it's just not good enough. It hasn't been good enough all year. We address it every week, and we throw new darts, and you know, it's, again, I always talk about service. It's timing, it's commitment, and they all have to line up. And sometimes you need a little bounce and a little luck, and that just hasn't gone our way this year on the offensive side. I will say this: everybody talks about that, but defensively we've been damn good. And if you're not good on one end, you know, and you're not good on the other end, then you're in real trouble, because that can be a real downfall of a team. So at least on the defensive end, we've been good and organized and brave. It just hasn't clicked on the offensive stuff, but maybe next game.
Go here to the second rep.
Just with the season Corey's had and just how he stepped up in big moments all year, just how fitting is it that he, you know, put y'all up 1-0 and
We challenged Corey. I to be honest with you, I didn't think Corey had a great game last game, and he completely responded. Good energy. His pressing was real. His physicality, and he was in the right spot for most of the night. So and he showed that he knows how to score. You know, he's played forward his whole life probably, or at least as a pro, as far as just a pure 9. And he's really handled it in a good way for us. And as you said, has scored some really big goals for us. So I'm very, very happy for him.
Adding a bit into the defense, they've been playing good. It was physical, but no yellow cards from nobody in the back line tonight. Talk to me about the discipline within that.
Really, the only one we were worried about was Coco, because he had the 2, and he would have been suspended for the next game. And so Coco is clear, and the other ones, if they got a yellow, I would have been okay with it.
Coach,
One more, I'm tired.
how big of a lesson was Monday?
The last game? Was that Monday? I don't know if it's a lesson. We went to Salt Lake and we tied them. They're a tough team. It's hard to go in there, and I think, again, I always said we needed the second there to get out of there with a win, and we went to a PK shootout and they won. There wasn't any lessons other than we knew they were going to come with physicality, because the difference between them in the first game and the second game was drastic. As far as their work rate, their pressure, and we knew it would be some type of hybrid today of them making us uncomfortable with pressure, but also understanding that they don't want to get exposed, and maybe not as a pressing nature as they had in Salt Lake. So we talked a lot about this week of what it looks like when they're pressing, and how we get out of that, and then what we look like when they drop off and have the regular shapes. So credit the guys. They did a good job tonight. Good? Okay, guys, thanks.